everyone. My name is Sean Kim. I'm a junior at Oxford Academy, and today my topic is about human-centric computing, and I'll be going through my journey in exploring the intersection of machine learning and human health. So here are some projects that I've worked on previously: stroke prediction, anxiety detection, exam score prediction, and the mimic health dataset. I also had some questions to help guide my thinking and my learning process as I tackled these different projects. So starting off with stroke prediction, the question was, how can I use machine learning in the field of healthcare? Then going over to anxiety detection, I tried to make the scope a little bit more specific by asking, how can I address a problem that I can personally relate to? And then for exam score prediction, took a little bit of a step back and then asked how I can address a problem that not only myself, but my peers can also relate to. And then finally, for the mimic health dataset, the question was, how can I draw more meaningful insights using larger datasets? So the first project was stroke prediction, guided by the question of how can I use machine learning in the field of healthcare? So this actually marked the start of me working on human-centric machine learning projects. I was initially drawn to this topic because of the interesting idea of being able to make predictions on somebody's health based on a few key data metrics. And I was also curious if machine learning could really be used to reliably predict the chances of you being a stroke patient. This project also served as practice for my machine learning skills. As this was a personal project that I had to do without any help, I had to make sure that I fully understand the necessary skills and experience to fully understand the process of going from, tackling this machine learning project. So the dataset that we used contained various information on patients, such as demographic factors, so things like their gender or age, also some diseases that they might have had, and smoking status. It's a brief look at what the dataset looked like. So you'll notice that each category represents a different data metric. So there's things like gender, whether they had heart disease, or even what type of job they have. So do they work like in the private sector or a government job? Also other health information such as their average glucose levels and BMI. And also at the right, there's a label showing whether that particular patient was a stroke patient or not. Here's a fairly simple representation of the machine learning process. So first of all, you would normally start with some group of data. So in this case, that's the table that I showed you on the last slide. So after we have a group of data on a certain topic, we will try to clean and organize the data. So we'll decide if we want to use the entire data set or just choose a specific portion of it to choose features that are relevant to our chosen topic. And if there's any errors like missing values, we'll deal with those. And after we have this new and clean data set, we'll feed them into a machine learning algorithm. So it's at this stage where we decide if you want to make any tweaks to the algorithms or even which algorithms that we want to use in order to hopefully improve our results. And then finally, after that, it'll spit out some sort of result, which in this case would be an indication of whether the patient was a stroke patient or not. Here was another project that I worked on. This one actually presented at the last IFCon, which was public speaking anxiety detection. And the question this time was, how can I address a problem that I can personally relate to? And so this topic was inspired by my own personal experiences dealing with public speaking anxiety and just being a pretty shy person. And so I was pretty excited to work on a topic that interested me and was relatable to me on a personal level. So in the project, I took various speech samples, and the data set also contained various features that were extracted from the audio files. So these features included things like the speaker's volume, their tonality, or their pitch as they were talking. And we used those in order to train classifier models that predicted the anxiety levels of the subjects. And using that research, I was able to write an extended abstract and also presented my findings at a poster session at a local conference. Here's what the poster looked like. And this one might sound a little familiar, but it's the exam score prediction guided by the question of how can I address a problem that my peers can also relate to, so not just myself. This time we used processed physiological signals from college students as they're taking 3 different exams. We mainly focused on heart rate, temperature, and skin conductance. As you might have known from the previous presentation by Willie, this was a collaborative effort with Elliot and Willie. And this particular project marked an important milestone because it was the first time that we published a full paper. And then now for current and future work, we have the MIMIC dataset. The question this time was, how can I draw more meaningful insights using larger datasets? So the reason for this particular question was that for all of my previous projects, usually the datasets that we used were fairly small and simple. And so this time I wanted to try to tackle quite a larger dataset and to see what more meaningful insights that I could gain. And so the MIMIC dataset is a declassified hospital dataset of numerous patients of intensive care units at a certain hospital. It contains a wide range of different data values, such as vital signs, lab results, or any medications that patients might have taken. As I mentioned, it's a really large dataset containing data from over 40,000 patients. Now for future work and any objectives that I might have for my future dealings with the MIMIC dataset, one step or direction that I want to take is data exploration. So as I mentioned, the MIMIC dataset is a really popular dataset, which means that a lot of different researchers have used this particular dataset in the past in order to produce research in varying fields. But due to its large size and complexity, there's also plenty of opportunities to find a niche or a specific field within that dataset in order to produce novel research. And so my aim is to increase my overall understanding of the entire dataset so that eventually I'll be able to specialize and focus in on just a part of it and produce novel research that way. So one particular consideration that I was currently thinking about was doing mortality prediction for individuals with mental or neurodevelopmental disorders. And so I was pretty interested on the possible impacts that different demographic factors and maybe like the types of medications that patients were given may or may not have on their mortality rates. And I'm also hoping to produce a research paper on my findings. One striking commonality that I've discovered between all of my previous projects was this common process of going from signals to insights, from going from things like heart rate, temperature, and speech patterns, and harnessing the power of machine learning to turn them into tangible results, such as predictions on stress, anxiety levels, or insights into behavior. So while I'm still pretty new to this field and I have a ton more to learn in the future, to continue my exploration of the intersection between machine learning and human health and use biological signals from humans in order to provide valuable insights into our own lives. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your impressive presentation, and I don't see any anxiety on you when you're presenting. So I thank you. So do you have any question from audience?
You've gone through the multiple projects, and I'm just wondering about how can you just decide which the AI algorithm is going to be applied to a certain project. Like you have a touch of the algorithm, but do you mentally just estimate that this kind of algorithm is going to be fit to this model, or how can you just decide how to?
Yeah, so actually for my projects, usually I try to experiment with just a couple different different algorithms, since I don't know exactly which one might be best for this particular problem. And so usually I try to just incorporate and test with a lot of different models to compare their performances, because I've also noticed that for all these different projects, in some cases one model or algorithm might perform better for that particular problem, but in my very next project, even though I think that maybe like the problem might be similar, like the levels of performance is like drastically different.
Can I ask another question? So I think I'm wondering about, do you model the kind of the model prediction of the data, like linear or those kind of mathematical model first, and then apply the algorithm or how? Yeah, sorry for my just abstract, but.
I normally tend to do some like exploratory data analysis like before like tackling data set to like kind of gain a feel for what types of information that is present in the data set and to just really understand maybe some just general trends that might be like really obvious before I like fully dive into it.
Any other question from the audience?
Yeah, after research on like public anxiety, like how has that like changed the way you approach public speaking?
Well, I think just dealing with that particular topic, for that particular project, I had to deal with and listen to like a lot of different like audio clips of people giving presentations, and so I was having to deal with so many like different people presenting. I kind of also like naturally gained like a sense of like maybe which speaker seemed more nervous, and so I think that kind of helped me like pick up on certain like signals that kind of give away if a person was like feeling anxious or not, and I think that kind of indirectly also translated into my own experiences while I was when I'm talking in public, because now I try to like consciously reduce those kind of like signs.
And may I answer the question? So what's the your motivation of doing this project?
Yeah, so I think I've discovered that for me personally, working on a particular problem or topic that I can like personally relate to. So like for example, for the speech anxiety or academic stress, those are all problems that I can personally relate to and experience on a daily basis. And so I think working on such like relevant topics kind of helps me be more interested in those topics. And there's also like a personal like motivator for me, since by working on them, not only can I indirectly just help myself overcome those problems, I can also help other people who are experiencing similar problems as myself.
Thank you. So do you have any other questions? If you don't have more questions, then yeah, we can thanks again to